Holy shit. He said what?
Many people out there have been speculating on that Meghan Markle has lied about her age. Is she actually older?
Meghan was born, and she was born as a C-section, so she was put in my arm. I was the first person to hold her. Her little hand went on my fingers like that.
It's really quite...
Picture this. You're sitting at a family dinner, passing the mashed potatoes, when suddenly someone drops a bomb like, oh, by the way, you're 6 years older than you claim to be. Can you even imagine? That's not a slip of the tongue. It's a nuclear-level awkward reveal. And that's exactly the kind of grenade Meghan Markle's father, Thomas Markle, just lobbed right into her spotless, royal-approved narrative. He wasn't whispering this in hushed tones over dessert. Oh no. He looked straight at the cameras and declared, her childhood was with me. I got her through high school. I got her through college. It was raw. It was public. It was messy. And suddenly, Meghan's picture-perfect story didn't just have a wrinkle. It had a full-blown tear right down the middle. Because let's be real, this isn't another who made who cry over bridesmaids' dresses royal squabble. This is different. This isn't tiaras, tantrums, or palace gossip. This is about cold, hard facts, birth dates, numbers, and receipts that don't quite add up. The kind of details that make even your math teacher want to raise an eyebrow.
Her childhood was with...
And let's be honest, numbers don't lie.
I got her through high school. I got her through college.
This scandal, it's juicier than anything Netflix has tried to script, because now it's not about whispers behind closed palace doors. It's about whether Meghan Markle, the Duchess who charmed the world, shaved 6 entire years off her age. 6 years. So there he was, Thomas Markle, sitting comfortably in Rosarito, Mexico, staring straight into the camera, saying the unthinkable, Meghan's math doesn't add up. And the moment those words hit the airwaves, the internet went into absolute detective mode.
Remember when she was born, big new addition to the family, and it was, we just have a very young sister here.
People started digging. Old magazines, dusty yearbooks, alumni records. Every forgotten scrap of paper suddenly became evidence in the case of Meghan's missing years. For some, it was petty. For others, it was proof. But for everyone watching, oh, it was pure entertainment. And here's the kicker. If Thomas is even half right, Meghan's royal fairy tale has cracks deep enough to swallow the whole storyline. Pretending you're younger in Hollywood? That's practically a job requirement. But pretending you're younger when you're marrying into the world's most traditional monarchy? That's not a fib, that's a plot twist. And not even the Crown could have written something this messy.
Oh, I just made a little mark on my board and said, oh, there's another lie. But...
So buckle up. If you thought the Crown was scandalous, wait until you see what happens when one dusty magazine clipping throws an entire royal narrative into question. Picture this. It's the 90s. You're flipping through a glossy teen magazine, the kind filled with cringe quizzes like which Spice Girl are you, glitter lip gloss ads, butterfly clips, you know the vibe. Then bam, you land on page 90 of 17 magazine, March 1997. And what do you see? Meghan Markle listed, age 21. Wait, 21? Hold on a second. Because according to the palace's shiny PR machine, Meghan was born in 1981, which means in 1997, she would have been sweet 16. Not 21, not even close. That's not a typo you shrug off. That's a 6-year leap. The kind of mistake that would have landed you in detention for the rest of the semester. And suddenly the internet exploded. Coffee cups were dropped. Keyboards were smashed. TikTok sleuths had a field day. Because here it was, in ink, not a blog post, not a rumor, a published printed magazine.
Is a copy of 17 magazine, and it was published in March of 1997. In it, it mentions our Megzy is from Los Angeles and that she was 21 years old at the time of publication. That would make her birth year at around 1976.
And you can't Photoshop paper. You can't edit ink. This wasn't digital fluff. It was microfilm, archival, library-level evidence. So was it a typo, a printing error, or the very first breadcrumb in a much bigger royal cover-up? Nobody knows for sure. But one thing is certain. When your official age doesn't match up with what's printed in a magazine millions of teenagers once read, you've just unlocked the kind of scandal the internet will chew on for years. And the 17 magazine bombshell? That was just the appetizer, because Thomas Markle wasn't finished. Sitting in his chair like a man who's seen too many soap opera plot twists, he basically hinted that the Meghan the palace parades around isn't the Meghan he raised. Birthdays didn't line up. Milestones felt staged. The timeline? Wobbly. It was like a Netflix true crime documentary where every episode drops new evidence that changes the whole case. And Thomas, with that mix of exasperation and disappointment only a dad can deliver, laid it out with pure dad energy. He wasn't some random critic taking pot shots. This was Meghan's own father holding up receipts, pointing out gaps so big you could drive a royal carriage straight through them. And when estranged family members throw dates around that don't add up, the internet doesn't just take notes, it binge watches. Thomas didn't stop at magazine clippings. Oh no, the drama only escalated because just when you thought the receipts couldn't get any juicier, the paper trail of official documents took center stage, and this part hit like a thunderbolt. Remember Archie's birth certificate in 2019? Just weeks after the little royal baby arrived, eagle-eyed observers noticed something strange. At first it read Rachel Meghan Markle, but then, poof, suddenly her first and middle names disappeared. Gone. Replaced with just her royal title. Now, birth certificates aren't supposed to be like iPhone updates. You don't wake up one morning to find version 2.0 of your identity. Yet here we were, staring at a paper trail that felt more choose your own adventure than royal archive. Critics tried brushing it off. Just a cosmetic change, they said. But conspiracy theorists? Oh, they had a feast. If the palace could quietly tweak a baby's paperwork, what was stopping them from polishing Meghan's details too? And suddenly the whispers got louder. If Archie's certificate can be edited, could Meghan's birth year have been quietly rebranded as well? For sleuths, it wasn't just possible. It was practically obvious. Because here's the thing, in Hollywood, lying about your age is about as normal as ordering oat milk instead of regular. The industry thrives on it. Casting directors aren't asking if you can act. They're asking if you can still pass for 25 while paying a 30-year mortgage. So when people suggest Meghan might have shaved 6 years off her age, honestly, it sounds practical. Imagine walking into an audition at 30-something up against fresh out-of-college hopefuls. It's brutal. But slide your age into the 20-something bracket, suddenly you're the quirky best friend, the romantic lead, not the older sister type. Hollywood has entire careers built on age gymnastics. And Meghan, she was hustling long before tiaras entered the conversation. In an industry that treats birthdays like expiration dates, survival often means trimming off the years like they're split ends. So maybe it started as a harmless Hollywood strategy, but then came the royal wedding of 2018, the glossy, global fairy tale event. Meghan was introduced to the world as the glamorous, modern 36-year-old bride. The narrative was perfect, polished, progressive. But here's the twist. If Thomas's math is right, Meghan wasn't 36. She was closer to 42, and that's when the fairy tale cracks wide open. Because while a 42-year-old bride is hardly scandalous, the palace selling her as a mid-30s Cinderella is another story. Royal PR thrives on tidy numbers. A bride in her 30s, inspirational. A bride in her 40s, suddenly the optics wobble and the fairy tale sheen dulls. It's not about the age itself, it's about the lie. If the palace is willing to bend one little number, what else are they willing to airbrush? The monarchy prides itself on tradition and credibility, ironing shoelaces and curating every detail. If Meghan's timeline doesn't hold, the royal image machine takes a hit far bigger than a misplaced veil. And that's when old photos began resurfacing. College reunions, yearbook snaps, alumni photos. Internet detectives weren't staring at Meghan's outfits, they were staring at her classmates. And here's where it got messy. Many of those smiling faces around Meghan, they're now well into their mid-50s. So was Meghan just hanging out with an older crowd? Or was she actually part of that older crowd? Social media did what it always does, zoomed in, circled faces, and drew comparisons. Suddenly those innocent reunion photos looked more like courtroom exhibits. Critics saw the photos as proof, fans brushed them off as coincidences. But in the court of public perception, where screenshots spread faster than royal statements, the pictures became breadcrumbs in a conspiracy buffet. And that's all the internet needed, because once you give sleuths a mystery, they turn into digital detectives overnight. Reddit threads popped up like wildfire. Royal Truth Seeker 92 comparing yearbooks, Agegate detective pulling alumni rosters, TikTok edits blasting dramatic music over Meghan's then and now photos. It turned into a circus. Twitter, or X, whatever we call it now, flooded with memes. One viral post compared Meghan's alleged real age photos with Indiana Jones dusting off relics. The internet laughed, cried, and dissected all at once. And here's the dangerous part. Once the world decides you're a puzzle, every dusty archive and blurry photo becomes evidence. Whether it's solid proof or not doesn't matter. What matters is momentum. And Meghan's timeline? It wasn't just a timeline anymore, it was a global scavenger hunt. As if the magazine receipts and reunion snapshots weren't enough, then came the whispers that made the internet choke on its popcorn. Alumni rosters and event programs, plain boring documents suddenly became the crown jewels of conspiracy theories. And here's why. Instead of listing Meghan's birth year as 1981, some of these rosters casually dropped her year as 1976 or 1977. Now, most of us would skim right past those dusty programs without a second thought. But for online detectives, these were treated like ancient royal scrolls. Each 1977 scribble was paraded around the internet like a smoking gun, proof that Meghan's official age was nothing more than a palace-crafted illusion. Of course, critics were quick to argue. Rosters are notorious for typos, sloppy editing, and careless mistakes. But try telling that to the army of TikTok detectives who were already piecing together timelines like they were unraveling a Cold War spy file. For them, every tiny inconsistency was another reason to shout, "Gotcha!" And soon enough, the narrative snowballed. What started as a potential typo turned into breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs turned into a trail, and before long, Meghan's life story was being dissected like a true crime case. Suddenly, the palace was painted as the world's most dramatic, age-fudging agency. Proof or not, it didn't matter anymore, because in the court of public opinion, 1,000 whispers can sound just as convincing as one undeniable fact. Inside Buckingham Palace, the atmosphere was reportedly tense. Whispers louder than teapots clinking at afternoon service. Staffers were said to be furious, not necessarily at the supposed receipts themselves, but because the story had spiraled way outside of their control. The royals thrive on carefully curated optics, polished gowns, flawless waves, photo ops with just the right lighting. But this age scandal, it was like dropping a glitter bomb in the middle of a royal banquet. There was no way to clean it up without everyone noticing the mess. Not a statement, not even a snarky, "That's ridiculous." Nothing. In a world where celebrities clap back at trolls faster than you can refresh your Twitter feed, Meghan's silence has been louder than any denial could ever be. Supporters defend it as smart strategy. Why fuel gossip when ignoring it makes you look untouchable? Critics, though, see it as evasive, like someone backing slowly out of the room while the smoke alarm blares overhead. Meanwhile, the internet filled the vacuum. While Meghan carried on with podcasts, charity events, and Hollywood appearances, her name was being dissected across TikTok, Twitter, and Reddit. And here's the delicious irony. By saying nothing, Meghan allowed everyone to project their own story onto her. To fans, she was a woman rising above petty drama. To critics, she was a schemer ducking accountability. Either way, her silence kept her name in headlines longer than any press conference ever could. But it also raised the million-dollar question. If something as basic as a birth year feels shaky, what else in the royal fairy tale has been airbrushed? For centuries, the monarchy has thrived on polished myths, bloodlines traced back with precision, birthdays celebrated with cannon fire, fairy tales sold to the public like gospel. But now, if Meghan's timeline is off, the entire royal storybook starts to feel less like history and more like PR spin, because once people start questioning one detail, they start questioning everything. Were those dreamy royal romance photos really organic or just staged productions? Were those carefully orchestrated charity appearances genuine or just PR campaigns? The monarchy survives on credibility, on trust in its storytelling. Without that trust, the tiaras start to look like costumes in a very expensive play. Because it isn't just gossip anymore, it's a scandal rooted in numbers, in receipts, in timelines the internet can't stop dissecting. And now, the question isn't whether Meghan is older than she claims. The question is, can the monarchy's carefully constructed fairy tale survive once people start realizing the castle walls might be built on shaky ground?